I would not know if it's a wrong, but one thing that I was not able to accomplish that I wanted to accomplish was after the war, the Liberians people elected me. In fact, the Liberian people elected me to unite the country. I was not able to get some of the other factional leaders to return to Liberia. I was not able to get one or two of the political leaders to return. And I think they helped to provoke the situation. I was able to do a whole lot. Strangely, the LPC, these were all warring factions, and all of the other warring factions, I was able to bring them into government. In fact, most of the combatants that fought for the government during the war were the combatants of the warring factions that fought against me. So I accomplished bringing them together. I accomplished making sure that the issue of tribalism went away in Liberia. But I mean, to a great extent, I think most Liberians now, if you went to Liberia and took a poll, they would say Mr. Taylor did his best.
Any other regrets?
The second regret is that I was never able to get the United States to understand me. I was never able to get them to work with me, which is so essential for Liberia. No president of Liberia, no president can make it successfully unless he is online with Washington. Now, I'm not the type of guy that you can pick up a telephone and command. I don't take that. I didn't take that from Washington. Then, even if I were elected president, I would not take it. I'm not that kind. I'm not a coward. But I do believe that a good working relationship is essential for any president of Liberia, or that president will fail.
My people, where you at? Where you at? Wake up from your slumber. Stop sleeping. Wave your hands, wave your hands, wave your hands, wave your hands. Come on, come on, come on. I know you're sleeping now. You gotta wake up small, yeah? Okay, let's go. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us.
And so, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello to you wherever you are following us. And whatever means you are using to follow us. This is Freedom Heart Talk here on Freedom FM 87.9. The May week's edition of the program. Today is the 20th day of May 2026. I'm Junkies Morris, and Austin Kawa is in the building, and he will be joining me in split minutes as he concludes his test. And so I'm here to carry you through as I wait Austin to join me on the program. So welcome.
The people fool us, the people lie to us. The government betray us.
Former Minister of Finance Samuel Twe, Legal Counsel Councillor Arthur Johnson, laments on the investigation that relates to the alleged juror tampering or jury tampering. Honorable Musa Hassan Belete of Nima County District Number 7, in a heated nationalistic exchange with the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation Managing Director, Honorable Mo Ali. Local Government Minister Francis Nyimale. Cautioning Honorable Thomas Pankafala, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, that if you want to be dog, be dog. If you want to be cat, be cat. I will take a short break to take word from our sponsor, Crime Stopper, that powered this show. And when I'm back, as Austin will be joining quickly, we'll dig deep into these talking points.
We tire with their lies. We tire with their promises that left.
About musical. There are crimes in many places, in every community, you can see. So if you see crime, report it. Don't take law in your hands, call the right authority. Well, they can't take care of it. Crime Stopper here for us, bringing safety to your door. Whether you rich or you poor, if you see a you must talk it, I mean you cheche. Do it for your safety. If you see it, don't keep it. You must call to report it. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and make it peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia, from the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crimes for all of us. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and make get peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia, from the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crimes for all of us.
Crime Stopper Liberia is your community crime fighting partner. Don't take the law into your own hands. Remember, if you see a crime, report it. This is a message from your own self, Old Man Sam Sion.
Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping.
Authorize an immediate investigation into the allegation of jury temporal because the jurors are still under his jurisdiction. But that is not the case in the Samuel 12 issue. That is a legal issue we're talking about. This is a constitutional issue. In this case, no one complete. After the juror have read the verdict, they have read the verdict. After the verdict was recorded, the parties agreed. They asked the juror, is this your verdict? They agreed that this is our verdict. No juror at that time raised any issue. And so, when the court disbanded the jury, that court, by law, has no authority. Because when you disband the jury, it means there are no more jurors. They have retired into their private lives. So you have no jurisdiction over them to call them, especially so these are jurors that were serving for the February term of court. Now we're talking about the May term of court. You have no jurisdiction because the summary of jurors is by law, is by term of court. No judge can just easily do that. Only the law authorizes that. And so what happened is that because we accepted a portion of the verdict regarding the conviction of Councillor Unati Twan and Honorable Jefferson Kamo, we filed a motion for new trial for these two defendants and former officials of government. After 2 weeks, which the law says within 4 days, after 2 weeks, the day prior to the hearing of the motion for new trial, we received a citation, which was May 18. from a quote telling us that, and this is what I read, by directive of His Honor Usman Feka, a San Sake George presiding, First Judicial Sake Criminal Kosi, Montserrat County, Republic of Liberia, setting its midterm. And this is important. Setting its midterm. This is midterm. That case was the February term. AD 2026. You are hereby anything to do before that time, there must be an extension from the Chief Justice. Can't just wait. You are hereby ordered to appear on Wednesday, May 20, 2026 at 9 o'clock a.m. for an investigation into alleged jury misconduct, stroke tampering, filed under oath of affidavits by 3 individuals who serve as jurors. So you see that technically the court is recognizing that they are not jurors again in the above entitled course of action. Meanwhile, the assignment for the hearing of the motion for new trial is hereby suspended pending the outcome of the investigation. It was not signed by it. So we received this, and when we went for this hearing, where it was for today, these are things that are unfolded. We are saying this because these are the points for which we taking issue with. In the first meeting with the judge told us that the prosecution, the defense lawyers, the prosecution lawyers, the defendants, the court officers, the jurors, and other members of the jury management team are all subject of the investigation. Meaning the investigation, every one of them should be subjected to the investigation. But interestingly, the judge told us that no lawyer will be present. The investigation will be done in secret. Not all will be there. Even though we are subject of the investigation, meaning we all are accused, including the prosecution defense, and he will proceed, he will conduct the investigation in camera, meaning in closed room. Nobody will be there. When you are needed, then they will send for you. In our view, these are the issues we have. One, jurisdiction. We want to tell the Liberian people and the world that the judge has no jurisdiction to conduct the investigation. One, because the term had ended. Two, he had disbanded the jury. The jurors are citizens now. And three, you cannot conduct an investigation that you say, I and my clients, all of our colleagues, everybody are subjects of the investigation, but they cannot be in the investigation. To know what is the complaint, to read the content of the complaint, and you say you just proceed, you can't give it to us. So today what we did, we wrote and told him that he must refuse jurisdiction because he is proceeding in violation of the Constitution, especially the due process under Article 20A of the Constitution of Liberia. So the judge did not do anything on that, and he had decided to continue. He been in closed door since today, no lawyer there. Anybody, wherever is being said, whether somebody is being accused, that person has no authority and no right to face their accuser or so on. Assuming now we've had a meeting. And so it was one thing, I think maybe 3 or 4 before he got through with the juror, and it will be continuing. That's one. Two, the law in this jurisdiction and have been practiced and I would copy from other countries is that when the jury have been disbanded and they have been sent into their private life as citizens, you have no authority to just summon them to question them about what happened when you are disbanded. Especially when there was no complaint at the time they were not disbanded. If they were the time they were not disbanded and that complaint was there, then the judge has jurisdiction. But if prior to the disbandment there was no complaint, you disbanded them, and after 1 week or 2 weeks, and before three of the jurors that voted against our client come out and say they will conduct jury misconduct, and then you send for them and send for all of the parties, you have no jurisdiction. That's the law. This is not personal. First, so for this reason, we have gone to the Honorable the Supreme Court on the petition of writ of prohibition to prohibit the conduct of the judge. That does not mean we are discrediting the judge. No. First, we want to appreciate him, the manner and form he conducted the trial. This was a seriously, legally charged and intellectually engaging trial that he was able to manage it by the techniques and tactics of courtroom management to the extent that the case ended. To see the judge now, that we know with all of the caliber of lawyers that were before him, including a former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, including a former judge of the ECOWAS Court, who was a lawyer before him, to conduct that trial in the manner and form for us to reach to the conclusion of that case, again, has up. But this post-disbandment of the jury investigation is ultra-virus, is illegal, is in violation of the law. And we don't want to believe that it is the judge that we know in the case. So that is what we have done today. There is a petition that has been filed today, and there is a stay order on that investigation, and we'll go to the Supreme Court to give our case. We have the laws in our favor. The laws are there. We just want to inform you. We're not fighting to influence any decision, but to inform you as to the developments that are unfolded there today and are unfolded. The next thing is this. These three jurors were asked in court, is this your verdict? The judge on every occasion in the trial told them, when you have any issue with anything that happened there, open, like in the open court, tell me so we can address it. They said we have no issue. And we understand why all of these things are happening. Most of these jurors are public servants. We understand, we get intelligence that people are pressurizing these jurors in the places they work. In the places they work. And their jobs are under threat. And we don't believe in that investigation that I am unfolding because it is an attempt. It is an attempt to influence people over there to lie on people and for people to run with it as a propaganda machinery. The law is the law. The old age tradition of our country have said from almost 200 years on the existence of this country, from 1816 to present, in our principle, they said once the jurors have dispersed and resumed private status, recall becomes constitutionally dangerous and legally improper. In which case is that Des versus Belden, 579-2S40 in 2016, U.S. Supreme Court opinion. There are other opinions. There is an opinion in Liberia here where the Liberian Supreme Court said when the juror return a verdict of acquittal and there is a complaint of jury tampering, the judge should not disband the jury. Let me understand the gap there. When they return the verdict, they acquitted the man, but they are not yet disbanded. They stay under the jurisdiction of the court because everybody in open court. And the party makes an application to the court of jury tampering. The judge will stop that whole proceeding and conduct an investigation. That is the law. But when there is no complaint, while the jury have been pulled and then the verdict have been recorded and the parties have given terms to the juror and they disbanded the juror and they go into their private life, you cannot. Because it is issue of jurisdiction. The authority to call a jury about a proceeding in a February term of court is an issue of jurisdiction. The judge president has no jurisdiction to review a proceeding of the last term, February term. He has no jurisdiction. He's a fine gentleman. He's a fine judge, smart judge, eloquent judge. But in this one, he's in error. He's in error. This is not with any disrespect to him, We appreciate him. We really admire him with the manner and form that he conducted the trial. And he did his work. And then a time for somebody to come and impress on the court to revise a litigation that had gone through due process consistent with the Constitution and calling for an investigation is an attempt to even ask the judge to undermine his own decision. And we as arm of the court will not allow that to sit here, and that's why we went to the Supreme Court. Let the Supreme Court speak. We don't want favor from the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court must look at the law. That's what we want. And that's what the Supreme Court is all about. They go. When they look at the law, they will look at the law and say, oh yes, this is the law, and yeah, no, this is not the law. Finish. So that is what we call you for. And so on this basis, we want to say to you that we have filed a petition for the issuance of the writ of prohibition before the Honorable Supreme Court, and that there is a stay order on the investigation because this is a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt. We cannot change the laws because of Samuel 12. We can't do that. The country will stay. We will go. We need to be reminded by history. There were powerful people in this country. Some of who were young, little bit in age in the 80s. We saw people, men that we saw in this town. Certain time came, we saw them that they were people who have never served government before. Government will come and government will go, but this is the law. We can't change the law. This is a witch hunt. Imagine. Immediately after the president, the next day we receive a call and a letter summarizing the former finance minister for another criminal investigation. You don't have to be a politician or a political scientist to understand that this is not a witch hunt. This is witch hunt. This is witch hunt. If I were a prosecutor, I would not issue that kind of assignment or request. But this is witch hunt. And we listen to some practitioners even are inviting the finance minister. They say even if you get authorized the money to go to somebody, spending agency, your duty is to follow up with that spending agency and ask them how they spend the money. Is that the authority under the PFM law of the Minister of Finance? No. The Minister of Finance, his authority is to spend the money, and when you're spending the money, you must have the authorized authority. Who is responsible? The spending agency will account for how they spend the money. That's why we have the GAC to conduct audit. So this is witch hunt. So when somebody tells me that because the finance minister authorized expenditure and if you are going to make a follow-up, you kidding me? The finance minister of the country? I don't understand. But this is not good for our democracy. For those who don't know, some who are actors in our body politics, some of them were not here when we were in the conflict. Nobody prays for conflict in this country. I stay always say it. I want our country peaceful. But the point is, we are thinking that we must not repeat the history, the wrongs of the past. The people who repeat the wrong of the past that causing the problem, they are people who are ignorant. And many actors, some of them were even sucking breast when we were in the dilemma of the 14 years. So they did not understand the 14 years from 1990 to present, the dilemma, the catastrophe that we experienced. Some of the very poor who are all around insulting people when you speak as a Liberian, where you are a citizen and it's your right to speak. Some of them were even sucking breast milk. They never knew what happened here. So when you say something, instead of them to listen and learn, they refuse. But history tells us that history is a raw material for political science. Political actors must be people who must digest history. Because if you don't understand your history, when you're making political decisions, you have problems in your public policy decisions. So to be a public policy administrator, you must be somebody who understands the raw material for political science. And that raw material is history. And so you must know what went wrong. Where are we? Where do we intend to go? This decision is a revisitation of the factors of the dark ages of Liberia. And this is wrong. To weaponize a legal process simply because of a political agenda is counterproductive to the future of our country. People are following us. International actors are following us. Some people are operating, they don't understand. Why will you leave from here now? You start pressurizing people who are self-adjure, you go and go do something. You go wreck something. You make sure you lie on the person in. What is that? What is that? So that is why we have called you guys here. That this process is illegal. Samuel is a free man. The fact that the brother speaks to him, and the jury returned that day with a not guilty verdict. And the judge himself in open court declared that you are not guilty, and henceforth live from the prisoner bench and world. You are a free man. Samuel is a free man, along with Moses Cooper. And when we told the jurors that day in the final argument that today we start at the beginning of the documentation of the check and balance of our democracy to determine whether or not we go back or we retrospect or regress to our dark days, or you put in a check and balance on powerful power or powerful executive that will manipulate a political process under the disguise of legal proceedings. And we told them that when you make that decision to free the defendants, you will know when you walk out there, the country will be rejoicing, eating up into the money, and it came to pass. You think this is a joke? This is history. We call it the opportunity of history unfolding itself. The jury has spoken. The people have spoken. There can be no whims and caprices, naked brute forces that can overturn, or divert the decision of the unanimous, of the voluntary verdict returned by the trial jury, the majority verdict. And so that's where we are. We'll take a few questions and then we can.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'm Nelson Colette, and I report for the Small Network. And I have just two questions. I did hear you say that you don't believe that the judge presided over that case is the same judge who is proceeding this way. I also heard you say that you received intelligence that some of the individuals who serve as jurors are being threatened. Their jobs are at risk. And that brings me to my first question. Who do you think is the invisible hand behind this?
It's the government, you know who? The government wants a case. The government wants someone to be convicted. You have the children in grade school that are following the development, they will tell you. You tell these girls to say, the government wants Samuel Twain to go to jail. Even if Samuel Twain was going to be found unready alone, meaning they can retry, you're going to celebrate. Not even a guilty verdict. But even if they were going to get one of the charges where 12 was convicted, it's a goal for them. And this is dangerous. It's the government. It is the government. The government is manipulating the case to overturn the verdict. And now we're not going to sit here to allow that. This is like, my brother, the country is small. We are interrelated, interconnected. News can't hide in this country. A small country. This country is small. We are all related with one way or the other. That's why when I'm dealing with you, I got to be careful the way I deal with you. Because it's possible somebody who is close to me may know you. I got to be careful so I can bear my head down tomorrow.
The government is broad. The judiciary is there. The legislature is there. The executive is there.
The executive branch of government through the prosecution is the one pushing this thing.
You think the president is in the lower person?
I don't want to go to that level because I don't get the evidence yet. But I am telling you, I'm going in the practice for almost 20 years. I am a criminal justice expert. And
expert and practitioner and professor of criminal justice for 27 years from 1999. I have trained criminal justice practitioners that are keeping this country safe, who serve in the legal system, the criminal justice system, now as we speak. And I'm telling you, the executive has interest in this case, and they must find out that Samatwa goes to jail. That is not a secret. And so the prosecution is under pressure.
So the president is pressuring the prosecution.
The executive. And sometimes, let me tell you something. You see, let me tell you something. When we were in school, the man knows I'm not a guy who bites my tongue. Maybe I will not get government joy. I will just be doing my academic thing, piloting. Let me tell you something. In Liberia, when the executive, when the presidency is seated, sometimes the president may not be a bad person. The circle of the bosses of the president have serious tendency and ability to influence the president, even when he does not intend to do certain things. Take it or leave it. All our presidents from time immemorial who have been president, you know who have given them the problems? The circle of the vassals. They will have good intentions with the circle of the vassals. There are people who did not sit in this country when we experienced this thing. They are the same. Some of them were advocates in this country who preach multi-party democracy, who preach about multi-partyism. They are the ones that sitting now on the first bench to the president. And they are the ones now misleading the president and misleading the executive to make decisions that keep the government looking back. Now, the reason some of our touches is not that we are against the government. We can't be against government. Every government that comes in play, we pray for the government to be successful, because when the government is successful, the economy is open. So we, the lawyer, we make money. We operate instability. But when the government is proceeding in a manner and form that, because investors investigate first the rule of law, whether it is something that they must trust. If the investors read the reports and observe that the rule of law in that country is a problem, they never put their money there. That's the first thing they do. Let me get there.
Last question. You talked about the disbanding of the Bureau.
Yeah.
And that what is happening now is unconstitutional, is illegal, because it happened in the February term of court. And the jurors should not be called back.
Because they are disbanded.
Because they have been disbanded.
And they were February term jurors.
Yeah. Is there any specific law that backs that argument?
Of course. It's in our petition. That's why I just read some of the laws. I just read the law to you. I was citing Supreme Court opinions. Okay, let me read it again. Let me read one of the other ones that we copied from the American jurisprudence. They say United States Supreme Court. Let me read it so you can hear it, and then you can make a follow-up. Okay. Let me read the specific one recording the jury. In the case Des DERTZ Des versus Balding BOULDR and Balding, Command 579 US 40 decided 2016. The United States Supreme Court recognized only a narrow and immediate authority to record jurors before meaningful separation, and before final discharge, consequences attached. The court emphasized that once jurors have dispersed and resume private status, recall, meaning calling the jurors, becomes constitutionally dangerous and legally improper. That's the
And legally improper. You just listen You just listen to the legal counsel to the former Minister of Finance, Honorable Samuel Twe, and his legal counsel, Councillor Arthur Johnson, who you listen to clearly. And we said that here, also, and now continue to say, this case is a blatant witch hunt on the part of the executive against perceived political opponents. And it's dangerous, in the words of Councillor Arthur Johnson. Seriously, Austin, it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Because liberal lose. We gain nothing from these excesses. First, we discourage investment confidence, which scares away investors, potential investors. We create disunity amongst ourselves, fighting one another, as if we are in Stone Age. We create the situation where we become haters to one another's successes, and John Brown, that is not in Peter Paul's government, will not want Peter Paul to succeed, since Peter Paul went after him at a certain point in time, and we are just in that vicious cycle of going after one another and being at each other's throats. You listen to Councillor Arthur Johnson mentioning history. That should be an early warning sign to all of our politicians, to include the president and everybody in the cycle of the president that are close with higher decision making in the country. Are we conversant with history? Are we taking history into consideration as it should be? That based on these verses, our country now, we are still putting our broken pieces together after almost 15 years of going at each other's throats and destroying properties, killing our brothers and sisters in the thousands, hundreds of thousands. And we have not learned any lesson from the past that made us today. You have a lawmaker and a managing director of the Labrador Water and Sewer Corporation exchanging on basic social services that are premium to the survivability of our people. Clean water, just clean water. Not even going to a sewage system, just clean water. And they were back and forth. And we read that here for you. They see the network carry up to the level that lawmaker, when he send message to managing director of water and sewer, then water and sewer managing director respond. So honorable, what effort you making now to advocate for budgetary apportionment for these things to improve? Where sewer minded people will be throwing gallons in their hand, fetching water in central Moravia. In fact, right now, there are parts of central Moravia that are no current now. That is seen thing, and what Councillor Arthur Johnson reminding us that is seen in a business, we damage everything, and the anger was too much that education was placed on our feet, and we went after things that were not important to what angered us and where we supposed to avenge whatever anger we had in us for whoever. Listen to them. They quote, according to Councillor Johnson, who is a legal luminary. You listen to him. 27 years professor, criminal justice. Then a legal practitioner, somebody who won the government in a $6.2 million case in favor of former Minister Samuel Twe, that he was working in line with his authority given him by the laws of our land. He won a case. And the law provides for any laid doubt that will be surrounding the case before final verdict should be raised and finally adjudicated properly before the final verdict can be given by the judge or whoever presiding, and before the jury panel can be disbanded. In this case, in fact, according to Councillor Arthur Johnson and what we all know, even the students in Spiritan know, the jurors were asked whether anybody get a problem or you get any issue with how the case was being investigated, how the cross-examination was done, the entire case, any issue that you had as an individual juror, all of them gave the go-ahead to the case. And the judge himself presiding rendered his final verdict and disbanded the entire jury panel, and that case became history. Whereby a judge, such a smart judge, such a great man that presided over this case, that in my mind placed Liberia in a better position to attract investment and to attract international partnership, because he exerted every authority over this case to see to it that this case comes to a logical conclusion through the laws of our country without fear or favor. It's a tap on the back for George Fekar. But to see these kinds of blatant, broad day government manipulation, particularly from the executive, to arm twist the decision that have already gone down in the annals of history as the moment that set the bar for the re-establishment of Liberia's legal system on the par of international standard. The government, in fact, in the words of Councillor Johnson, the government, the little children in first grade, second grade, they know that the government through the executive is behind this case and making sure that they want to see Samuel Twe at Saw Beach in orange jumpsuit. This is the clear aim and objective of the executive. That's why the prosecution arm of the government is being used to make sure that former Minister Samuel Twe goes to jail. Evidence of the fact that immediately after a non-guilty verdict was rendered in favor of former Minister Samuel Twe, the government of Liberia was brave in full glare to serve the former Minister of Finance with another communication indicating that the AREP, which is the Asset Restitution and Retrieval Committee that was set up, or tax force that was set up, they were brave. They even go for at least, as a thief, when you cause trouble, you gotta, the people looking for you gotta wait for 1 more, 2, 3 more. These thieves, they always steal around the place. That we know them. When they steal, they escape that place for a long while before they show face again. Unlike the government of Liberia, through the executive, they even waste time. In the same time, they compounded the communication they sent from our office that is being housed by the Golden Key Hotel. Government money being spent. That is another topic for another day. In broad daylight, they raise another issue of jury tampering. How will you do that when they were the same reasons why our country is where we are today? We stay discussing. Managing Director Mo Ali is still having such an exchange with the district representative, Nima County District Number 7, Honorable Musa Hassan Bedete. And as Austin is coming on, I will read for you the exchange between the two government officials, one from the first branch of government, the executive, and the other from, let's say, the executive, the second branch of government, and the legislature, the first branch of government, Honorable Musa Hassan Bedete. Let's say Honorable Musa Hassan Bedete has posted under my response to him. I will insert my answer to each of his inquiries. Mo, you will not put a spin on this one. This response completely misses the point. Response. Honorable Bedete, I did not miss the point. You did not understand what I said on Spoon and misinterpreted it as the LWSC is supplying water to 76% of the population. We said 76% of Liberians have access to basic drinking water. Honorable Musa Bedete said the issue is not whether ordinary Liberians, NGOs, churches, communities, international partners, and private citizens are digging wells and finding ways to survive on their own. Response from Honorable Mo Ali. Honorable Bedete, when we are collecting data for those who have access to drinking water, we do not limit that to only those LWSC is supplying water to. And Honorable Bedete comes back and says, the real issue is what exactly has the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation done under your leadership to justify these celebratory statistics. Response from Honorable Mo Ali. Honorability, under my leadership at the LWSU, we built a new water supply system in Bopolu, and thanks to Senator Amara Kone, who advocated for budgetary allotment for that project. We are about to connect 45 homes in Bopolu. We are construct 45 homes. Water and sewer and construct homes. I thought I would have some authority. Anyway, we are constructing new water supply systems in Plibo. 65,614 inhabitants. If that is being effectuated, I think it's a good thing because that's my terrain. No Austin jealous because I see Cape near. Greenville, 27,154 inhabitants, and rehabilitating and expanding the Zwaju water supply system with 58,384 inhabitants. Honorability, it will please you to note that it were your legislative colleagues, Senator James Barney Maryland, Senator Zoe Emmanuel Peno, Granjida, and Representative Romeo Kuya Sino, who advocated for the inclusion of those projects in the budget. I wonder why you have not done similar advocacy for the people of Seklipi. So Honorable Mo Ali is asking Honorable Musa Hassan Belete. And Honorable Belete comes back. You are now attempting to politically invest numbers produced largely by the resilience and survival instincts of ordinary Liberians abandoned by the system. Honorable Mo Ali comes back and says, Honorable Belete, you serve in the first branch of government. You have absolute final authority in approving the national budget. If you claim the system has abandoned the people, it means you have played a major role in abandoning them. What I can say is that with the meager resources that you have not advocated for, we are doing the best. And I think I agree with this one from Honorable Mo Ali. I agree with that one. Honorable Musa Hassan Belete is in the legislature, even though minority have the say and majority takes the day. But documents got to be proven that he had advocated and it did not yield fruit because of majority. Families waking up at 4 a.m. to fetch water from hand pumps, communities contributing money to build local wells, NGOs installing boreholes, international partners funding rural water projects, and citizens depending on rainwater collection are not evidence of effective government performance. It is evidence of government failure covered by the suffering of people. And Honorable Mo Ali comes back. Honorable Belete, rainwater harvesting, fetching water from boreholes and hand pumps are standard practices everywhere in developing countries. Even in developed countries, people harvest rainwater. My question, Paul Bucket was in Great Britain. My question to you is this: are you a part of the government or not? Do you participate in budget hearing or not? When last have you advocated for budget increment for LWSC to provide services for the people you are claiming to love so much? This one was testing who is more patriotic than the other. It's interesting, Austin, and the public. This is Freedom Hard Talk here on Freedom FM 87.9, and this is a heated exchange between the managing director of Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, Honorable Mo Ali, and the district number 7 representative of Nima County, Honorable Musa Hassan Belete. And Honorable Mo Ali responds to Honorable Belete. Honorable Belete, you missed the point. With our statistics, we cannot work. Of course, the part of the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation function is to collect tax on the number of people in urban areas that have access to drinking water. That is how we will plan and deliver services to them. Then Honorable Benedict comes and says, so the question remains unanswered. Where are the LWSC pipelines? Response from Honorable Mo Ali. Honorable Benedict, I guess the where are the LWSC pipelines is a rhetorical question. For a little historical context, the main 36-inch pre-stressed concrete water transmission pipeline, 25.4 kilometers, was constructed in 1968 with a lifespan of 50 years. We are replacing the first 10 kilometers of the 36-inch pipeline with a 48-inch ductile iron pipeline at a cost of US 12.4 million. We now need 22 million to replace the remaining 15.4 kilometers. This line runs from White Plains to White Flower through Painesville in Congo Town, with a 24-inch distribution line connecting Central Monrovia. Similarly, we have a 16-inch water transmission pipeline, 36 kilometers from White Plains through Caldwell to Central Monrovia via Bourgeois Island. These two lines supply water to Monrovia and Painesville. We also have standalone water stations in New Georgia and Sokolini. In addition to this, cities are mentioned in my previous response. We have water systems in Robertsport, Voingema, and Saniquere. That's Cape Mount. Oh, so Austin is captured here. Cape Mount, Lofa, and Nimba. Honorable Benedict comes back and asks, where are the functioning sewage systems? So he take it from the pipe and water now to the sewage system. And Honorable Mo Ali responds, Honorable Benedict, I am glad that you have asked about a functioning sewage system. It will please you to know that the wastewater treatment plant at Fiamma has been out of service since 1990. We have 9 lift stations and none is functional. A section of our main sewage transmission line has been washed away by sea erosion. Hence, the sewer system is not as functional as it was pre-war. However, since I took over at LWSC, we have minimized the flow of sewage in the streets of Monrovia. Honorability, our initial estimate shows that we will need at least US 50 million to restore the sewer system to a functional level. With this in mind, I hope you will now take the lead in advocating for funds to restore our sewer system. Honorable Belete comes back and asks again, where are the modern treatment plants? Then Honorable Mo Ali responds, Honorable Benedict, I have responded above. There are no modern wastewater treatment plant. So Honorable Mo Ali is telling Liberians in agreement as the head of Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation that there is no modern wastewater treatment plant. Here is my question to you. What is the legislature doing to include money in the national budget to construct a modern wastewater treatment plant? It's a good question to the legislature that Honorable Ali asked Honorable Belete, why at the same time it is onus on Honorable Mo Ali to proffer these ideas, innovative projects that will be in line with all of these questions that he's asking, and then we look at the legislature to play their part. So if you are not advocating and placing in terms of your request budget line items that will be synchronized with your proposed draft national budget of the country, if you place in your draft request, I think when it reaches the legislature, it can be debated, and at that level, then we can be looking up to the legislature now. But have you done that? Those are questions that we need answers for. Where does LWSC directly execute the major national expansion projects? Response from Honorable Mo Ali. Honorability, our current national expansion project include a 48-inch pipe water supply systems in Greenville, Plebo, and Zweju. We are about to begin construction of decentralized water systems in compound number 3 in Grand Bassa, thanks to Pool, Temporary, Yomblikanga, Lawrence. And we are also in the process of constructing a decentralized water system in Totota, Bon County, thanks to Senator Prince Kemomoi. Where are the neighborhoods in Moroville and across Liberia enjoying reliable pipe water? I think he meant to say pipe-borne water 24 hours a day because of your institution's work. And Mo Ali responds, Honorability, I have already mentioned the communities through which our pipes covered. You cannot reduce, Honorability comes back, you cannot reduce national responsibility to percentages on a UNICEF website. So I agree with Honorability on this one. And Honorable Mo Ali responds, Honorability, Liberia subscribed to the SDGs, that's the Sustainable Development Goals. The UNICEF /WHO JMP tracks achievements of the SDGs 6, which has to do with drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene. So, sir, we have to deal with them. But as I know it, you are one of those who usually run with international data, except that this is not such a bad news about a country that favors you. Honorability comes by. At the same time, the majority of Liberians still buy water from wheelbarrows, to it in buckets, rely on hand pumps, or walk long distances every day to find clean water. Response from Honorable Mo Ali. Honorability, we have not asserted that all Liberians have access to, or asserted that all Liberians have access to safe drinking water. We said 76%. This means that we have 24% of Liberians who don't have access to basic drinking water. The onus is on you as a lawmaker to begin advocating for budgetary allotments to solve the drinking water problem. So, I agree with that again from Honorable Mo Ali. And more importantly, access does not automatically mean government delivery. Show honorability. And Honorable Mo Ali responds to that by saying, so only government delivery you consider as access? And honorability comes by. A village with a charity-funded hand pump may technically qualify under JMP's definitions as having basic drinking water access, but that does not mean LWSC provided sustainable national water infrastructure. And Honorable Mo Ali comes back with a response. Honorability, I'm glad you mentioned infrastructure. You have been engaged with lots of infrastructure works, including the construction of bridges. This tells me that you have a great deal of experience in costs associated with infrastructure projects. Tell the public what advocacy have you done for water infrastructure. So honorability comes by again. Those are two completely different things. The danger with your statement is that it attempts to convert humanitarian survival mechanisms into government achievements. Response from Mo Ali. Honorability, are you telling us that once a system is not constructed by the government, it does not exist? I want it's not a question. We're talking about deliverables from the government. He said it does not. I said, no, I'm talking about existence. The question is not about existence, Honorable Mo Ali. Maybe you should tell international bodies to stop collecting data on things that are not government financed. So, Honorable Belete comes. The concern raised was never about whether some people can find water somewhere. Response, Honorable Belete, again, I will refer you to the data. There are 24% of Liberians who do not have access to basic drinking water. What are you doing as a lawmaker to advocate for budgetary allotment to solve this problem? The concern is whether Liberia, under your stewardship at LWSC, is building a serious, modern, reliable national water system worthy of a country in 2026. In response from Honorable Mo Ali, Honorable Belete, how much have you voted for in the budget since 2024 to build modern water and sewer infrastructure in 2026 Liberia? Once you answer this question, I will have an appropriate response for you, sir. Okay. Yeah, that was an exchange, great intellectual exchange between these two government officials, Honorable Musa Hassan Belete of the first branch of government, the legislature, and Honorable Mo Ali of the executive, the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. So for me, I take few things from their debate, their interaction. One, Honorable Belete is pushing Honorable Mo Ali to get the best out of his leadership at the Water and Sewer Corporation. That is the first thing that I noticed from this sustained interaction. Honorable Belete was making sure he gets the best out of Honorable Mo Ali, who is the managing director of the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. And Honorable Mo Ali was also using the medium to lobby Honorable Belete for budgetary increment in the direction of the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. That's the first thing I was able to capture from their conversation. That's the first thing for the records. And quickly, I've been here almost alone. Austin have just joined me. Austin Kawa, the host of the show, has just joined me, and I'm here with Austin Kawa. So, Austin, it's been a hectic day. You've been writing tests. Yeah, but now from you've been writing tests. What's up?
Yes, but it's good to join you. Like 10 minutes past 9 o'clock. So we are fast hitting the last portion of the show. But it's important, the people say it's better late than never, and it's good that we are here to engage, continue the engagements that benefit our people. And I mean, interesting topics and interesting conversations taking place tonight. So it's good to be here, Junkies. And let me say thanks to all of you who join us tonight via our Facebook Live to watch us. Those of you monitoring us via radio, it's good to have all of you joining us tonight. All of you across the country, all of you, those of you in the diaspora. So in some places it is in the morning, some places it is in the afternoon already, and some places it is in the night, like it is here in Liberia. So it's good to have all of you joining us tonight, Junkies. So yes, let's continue from where you stop, and then I'll come in to pick up from where you will stop. But I think it's an interesting exchange between the managing director of the LWSC and the representative of District Number 7 in Nima County, Musa Hassan Belete. But I have a key interest in the previous conversation with Samuel Toure and all of that. I think that's an interesting thing, but we need to talk. We need to place some emphasis on. So yes, we can place some emphasis on that, which is important, more important than the two political guys. I think they're trying to exercise the intellectual thing.
Yeah, yeah.
At this
So,
point,
so,
we're
so.
talking governance issues, strong strategic governance issue. We don't need play politicians to keep it going back and forth. Yeah,
Sure,
it takes
sure,
all our time and all of that.
sure. You're right, Austin. So, uh, the case with former Minister Samuel Toy, if you are following, Austin, there was something that Councillor Johnson mentioned that I want us to underline and highlight tonight. Those same verses, those same excesses of powerful government officials that led us to the kind of conversation you see and hearing between the managing director of water and sewer and a lawmaker from Nima County, while we're still discussing water. In fact, the man is even alluding to the fact that we do not have a waste management, modern waste management system. Can you imagine? So the fact that we went after one another, we were at each other's throats. That's why our country was plunged to going back 100 years of backwardness for us to catch up with development. And we stay not lessons from all those things. We have all of those people who claim they were fighting so that Liberia will not remain in those dark days, so that we can rise and shine among our peers. They are in leadership. They are sitting at the table, Austin. They are the people making decisions. They are the people around the executive, around the most powerful office. They are around the president. They are in high positions. They are at the coast. And they're refusing to make independent decisions based on the laws just because of one Austin Kawa or one Junkies Morris. They want to bend the laws. So, Austin, you heard Councillor Arthur Johnson. Those are the things that led to people being placed on the pole and shot in broad daylight. Those were the things that led to babies being taken from their mother's stomach without going through the delivery process that is required scientifically. The thing that led us to this time, before you see somebody coming out of high school, they meant 26 years, they meant 30 years. That the same thing that we're going to bending the laws just to favor a few group of people. Austin?
You see, Junkies, and to all of you tonight, we will say some things tonight which may not be comfortable with some people in some quarters, but it's important we speak these things out. And I like the way how Councillor Johnson tried to remind us similar thing we were doing here last night.
Yes.
And after the show, I got a call from a lawyer. He said, Kawa, I understand we have to keep reminding our people, the younger generation, about things that happened in the past and where we've come from. But some of these documentaries, renew our memories. It brings back pains and agony that some of us were direct victims of the war. And I said, but Council, this is the reason why we must continue playing these documentaries, doing the reflective analysis of our country, where we've come from, and comparing the systems we fought against those years, 37, 38, 39, 40 plus years ago, to the system we have now. Look, if we cannot man up to the system we have, it says that we are prepared to facilitate or allow a system presided over by Mr. Bwaka to continue doing even worse than what we fought against 39, 40 years ago. This is concerning, and this should be concerning to all of us. I'm not interested in Samuel Tue. I am not concerned about Samuel Tue. Do you think I'm concerned about Maxwell Kimaya? I do not know Comfort Sawyer from anywhere, and I do not need to know her anyway. I don't. So the conversation about justice, fairness, democracy in this country should see no individual. It should see our country. Look, I said this to you. I was a kid, but I still remember crossing the Maher River on my mother's back. 1990. Yes, I remember that. I know that I walked from Tottenham Bragg as a teenager to Morovia, passing through Maleman Gobla and Guthrie and all of that just to get to Morovia. Because why? We fought war in this country with the justification that one group of people felt intimidated, humiliated, marginalized by the class or the powerful class. We have Model. We have Law Rebel. We have NPFL and INPFL and Ulimo J, Ulimo K. Look at the historical context of why did we have all of these or all of those warring factions. That's how we call them warring factions, because they were factions from different regions that sought to protect different tribal groups or regional bodies within our country. Model failed. The Grand Jide dominated Grand Jide, and those in the southeast needed a voice. The Mandingo people and those who ascribe to Islam believe that they needed a voice. Lord Rebel came to our country through Guinea. Model came through Ivory Coast. We have Unimo J, Unimo K within the confines of our country. Because what? Krumah and Roosevelt Johnson and Haji Krumah fell off. And they found Unimo J, Unimo Krumah, and Unimo K. Unimo J, Unimo Johnson, Unimo Krumah. Because what? Johnson felt that his interest was not being protected. He felt not being powerful, equally powerful to Krumah. Or Krumah felt that he could no longer trust a Johnson around him. All of these things happened, so we fought. We took guns. We recruited soldiers in this country. It was all about power. We wanted access, we wanted protection, we wanted attention, we wanted recognition on the table. We wanted a seat at the table of governance. Those people who were fighting, they were not fighting because they had a seat at the table. They were not fighting because they were being protected by the state. They were fighting because they felt that they were marginalized, they were humiliated, they were excluded. "20 years later, or I should say 21 years running, the worst of these verses, or the worst of those verses, continue to resurface or are resurfacing within our democratic credential. And our governance portfolio is fast declining because somebody think there is a George Weah who should not be president. And since we cannot get him as the hard target, let's chase the soft targets. And Fonanti will be the beginning point. And 12 will follow. Maxwell Kimel, who is seen around George, around him every day, will be on the list. A comfort soil will be used as a shield. And we think all is okay. And when I sit and hear my brothers, some of my brothers from the other side, celebrating deception, celebrating humiliation, celebrating public humiliation and intimidation of their fellow Liberian, and they call that justice. You sit down and see a group of elected people calling themselves honorable. They riding our license, our official license plates. Group of elected people, children, descendants of natives, of country people, the real sons of the soil, unquote. But you know the biggest disappointment here tonight? The biggest disappointment here tonight is the Supreme Court. The justice system is a dumb sat. It has become a dumb sat. You go there, you can walk in the justice system and get what you want and walk out with impunity. When I hear police officers, it's that we should stop playing Crime Stopper ad on this radio. On a serious note, it's that we should stop playing Crime Stopper ad on this radio, especially the one against mob violence or Islamist justice in this country, because there's no need to start encouraging Liberians to disengage to stop engaging into Islamist justice or mob violence. It is needless. It is useless. It is. And I'm being bold and frank with all of us tonight. It is useless. Why are we cautioning Liberians to disengage from mob violence? Why are we educating Liberians not to engage into Islamist justice? Where is the legal system we have today that Liberians can rely on if they do not engage into mob violence or Islamist justice? Where is the legal system we have? Let's identify the legal system. We can play our politics, but when our politics does not regard justice, respect for the rule of law, then our politics becomes useless. Our politics become useless. It is needless for us to continue encouraging Liberians to disengage from mob violence or Islamist justice. Because where the legitimate and legal corridor that is provided by our Constitution has been placed on sale. Justice is on sale in our country. You go there, you get $25 justice, $50 justice, $1,000 justice, $2,000 justice. Any amount you have, you can buy justice in our country. Any amount you have. This is shameful. It is disgusting. Liberia is fast retrogressing. Liberia is becoming a state where We take decisions and actions that scare investors away from our country, and we wear our shoulders and pump our chest and call it politics. We weaponize the courts to act against political opponents. And we say we have a country. Celebrate the country. We say this to you every day. If this was about me, I would not be on radio tonight. If this was about me, you would not smell me or see me or hear me on radio. I say this every day. I walk into the United Party tomorrow, praise Baka, get a 3, 4, 5, 6,000 dollar job. I'm good to go. I become a big ball. What happens to you in the slum? What happens to you? What happens to your children who are supposed to have access to quality education? And you, as the mother or the father, it is not your responsibility. It is a fundamental right given to that child. The state is under constitutional obligation to ensure that you in West Point, you in Dole community, that you have access to safe drinking water. Education must be of quality, cheap, affordable, accessible to you. That you, your students, are not supposed to protest because the year one Mapayon wants to abolish free tuition on campus. How did we get here as a country? How did we get here? These are the issues. And we are still witch hunting people and chasing political opponents in the name of prosecuting them and fighting corruption. This is not fighting corruption. You are fighting peace. You are fighting justice. You are fighting accountability. That's what you're doing. We should not be battling transparency, but you are fighting transparency. When a court rules and disband a jury, and you go back, you issue a statement the next day, your political party executives all start to issue statements threatening the judge and publicly denigrating our judicial system. This is not transparency. This is not a fight against transparency. I mean, for transparency. This is a fight against transparency. This is an attack against transparency. This is an attack against justice. This is not an attack against Twe. This is not a fight against Twe. You are fighting transparency. You are attacking transparency because when the justice system presides over a case, a ruling comes out, we should respect the ruling from the jurors. Imagine Yeke's bill of information is trashed today. A group of his supporters decide not to come into Morovia but stay in District 10 and destabilize District number 10. Tomorrow, Joe Baga will be on the radio or on ERBC somewhere publicly criticizing and calling them hooligans. But you know who they be? Do you know the biggest hooligans in our country? The biggest hooligans in our country are seated deeply, they are deeply rooted within the legislature. The biggest hooligans in our country are deeply rooted within the judiciary. The biggest hooligans in our country are deeply rooted within the executive. If you want to find hooligans, check out in the executive. You want to find hooligans? Just walk in the legislature. They are there. White collar hooligans who do not respect any system, any rule, not even a court, because the court does not respect herself. And you are looking for tomorrow. If something sparks, those Liberians in anger would be described as what? Hooligans. They will be called criminals. Disgruntled youths. Who do you see are urinating on our laws today? They are people wearing coat suits, neckties. They are the ones manipulating the courts. The Kofi Woods and others who fought, who came to public realm as advocates for justice, for multi-partyism, for free speech, for the respect of the rule of law. Where does Kofi Woods sit today? Kofi Woods is deeply seated in the executive mansion as national security advisor. When you start to disrespect our courts, when you start to manipulate the courts, when you start to arm twist judges and associate justices on the Supreme Court bench, that is a threat to national security because it could anger and provoke violence and tensions in our country beyond the capacity of the government to control. What is Kofi Woods saying in the executive mansion to Joe Barker? This is the Kofi Woods who resigned from Eden government because what? Eden took an administrative decision to reshuffle our government. Just an administrative decision to reshuffle her government. Kofi Woods say he will not continue. Today, the West, man generation is experiencing the West when it comes to governance in our country. Kofi Woods is seated in the executive mansion, former student leader, former human rights advocate, is deeply seated in the executive mansion near Mr. President as national security advisor. What is he saying? He's quiet. He's sleeping along with the president and supporting on many fronts all of these negative verses that are fast derailing our society, the values of our democracy. The pillars of our democracy are all being broken down within 3 years. And Kofi Woods is there. Why hasn't he resigned? Administrative reason, administrative action Eden took. Kofi resigned. Today, Barker is taking political actions. Barker is persecuting people. Why hasn't Kofi Woods resigned? And somebody tells me, oh, don't blame Kofi. Why should I not blame Kofi? Why shouldn't I blame Kofi? Men were killed, were publicly executed. 13 men. That's just on the record. Because history tells me that there were many people who were quietly executed in our country by Samuel Doe. But those were high-profile officers, high-ranking government officials, from speaker to pro tem minister of justice and justice minister and all of that, publicly executed in this country. Then one of the advisors to the president was also executed. Toba was also executed. Kofi Woods is an advisor. How can we exclude Kofi Woods from the mess that's happening in our country? How can we exclude Kofi Woods from the disaster our country is experiencing? How can we? If somebody tells me, oh, Kofi is equally guilty as anybody. Liberia is a rogue state. As we speak, it's a rogue state. Let nobody fool you. Let nobody fool you. See the level of autocracy we have in our country. See the level of dictatorship we have in our country. Anything Mr. Braga says, that's a final. The higher courts, all our superior courts are all on an obligation to follow suit. Single file. Everybody choose your partner. And somebody says, Liberia is progressing. Where? How? Where's the progress? Point to the progress. Let's see it. Do you think building roads is a progress? What is I mean, what are these guys talking about? Do you think building road is a progress? From let me remind all of you, from the good governance perspective, building roads does not signify progress. Having stable electricity does not sustain progress. Having access to pipe-borne water does not validate progress. Having quality education does not guarantee progress. Having good healthcare does not assure progress. What guarantees and assure and sustain progress is the key pillar of democracy. And that key pillar is the rule of law. When the rule of law is broken, when the rule of law is being disrespected, when the rule of law is being ignored, when the courts are being arm twisted, when judges are being chased and intimidated to make decisions in the interest of in the interest or to guard the feelings of the president, this is not progress. All your water, your stable water and stable electricity and quality education and quality healthcare, they all become mess, meaningless. Because you know why? The country will be into chaos. The country will be chaotic, heavily divided. Today, there are people who cannot go to JFK. There are people who cannot seek, including Mr. President, cannot seek medication in Liberia. He asked the day for security reason. What is the security reason? Because people are angry. Medical doctors are angry. And you don't know who loves Baka, who does not love Baka. What do you think people tell you? Because of security reason, the president cannot seek medication. Other countries are presidents seek medication to their own hospitals right in their country. But African countries, our leaders will always leave their countries to go and seek medication in the West. In the Western countries, you know why? Because they are insecure. The reason why they are insecure because of the system of governance they built. They built a system, this governance system, on hate, on division, on deception, on malice. Because of that, the ministers, their deputy minister, their managing directors, they all feel insecure to go to JFK and ELWA and Catholic Hospital, Germany to seek medication because they're afraid that somebody might post something in their medicine and inject them. And you talk about Liberia making progress. Where's the progress? Where is the progress? Where is it? Somebody talking. It's about Samuel Twe. CDC is not in power. 3 years running. Have you heard anybody from CDC die because of starvation? Or any supporter of George Weah die because of starvation? We all can stay here and fight here and survive. We can stay here and stay quiet and survive. So it is not about us. What happens to the slum, those living in the slums? People go to bed on empty stomachs. People live below $180 a day. There are people here who are living, surviving below $180 a day. Some have eaten dry rice and moment for the last 2-3 months because they can only afford the dry rice at the moment and $5 or $10 pepper and mash it and put red oil on the rice for they and their children to eat. And some of you think governance is joke or maintaining the peace and security of our country is a play. Keep the country peaceful. We will hustle in the private sector because why? Investors will come here. When you keep this country peaceful, keeping a country peaceful doesn't mean put guns in the street. It means keep the independence, maintain the independence of the justice system, the judiciary. It means maintain the independence of the legislature, strengthen legislative oversight over the executives and other institutions, make the executive to be accountable to the legislature as required by our laws. We can have a country where the executive is remotely controlling the legislature and the judiciary. And you crying for investors to come here? Go to Kenya, where you just from. Emmanuel Macron praised the Kenyan independence of the Kenyan parliament. Go to Ghana. When the Ghanaian president can be summoned within 24 hours, you will see him appearing. Go to Zimbabwe. So you see the executive exercising of power and everything is in the public. She can't take that power to the assembly. No. All of these presidents, we see some of them say, oh, that dictator, they can't take their dictatorship to the parliament. The parliament have been able to maintain her independence. She may have her own issue about corruption and all of that. There are some parliaments that have party members there. But when it comes to protecting their independence, their integrity, they don't take it lightly. They don't take it lightly. That's why when some African parliaments speak, the president listen. In Liberia, they are concerned about the title. They won't call it say rat honorable. They won't put flags on their cars and all of that and pass around, doing nothing, eating free money. Taking bribes for every bill they pass. Chasing the speaker or the leadership of the house. What in Isa that are questioning there? Hey, somebody say, call him right honorable. Yes. The arrogance, the ignorance, the illiteracy is too high in the gas. Do you know the significance of calling people right honorable? Do you know that right honorable is something that is a title that is earned. It is not a self-ascribed title. No. It is not self-ascribed. Right it is giving. It is bestowed. And I see our lawmakers calling themselves right honorable.
Right honorable can be renegade.
Right honorable? To pass your own set budget for the people, you say government won't pay you money? And you want Joseph Braga? Look, if I was Joseph Braga, I would disrespect those guys every day. I'm being serious. Enough reasons to disrespect them. What kind of group of lawmakers to tell you we can't pass the budget if you don't give us money? The man.
What? The budget that will allow you
the
to
president could sit and say, look guys, we beg you. Your please will buy us gas car. What are lobbying? It should be the president, the executive's decision.
Volition.
Yes, thank you. But to sit down and demand that we will not pass the budget, we will not go to work until you give us money, and you think Baga will respect you? I heard somebody complaining the other day how Gafan doesn't respect them, the executive doesn't respect them. Myself, if I'm in the executive, you come here, I will go there, the time I won't go there. Because you don't respect yourselves.
In a violation of Article 90.
Yes. Lawmakers don't have respect for themselves. I can tell you that for free. I'm not qualifying nothing. That tell the good wants to be there. So good one there or bad one there. Lawmakers don't get respect for themselves. It doesn't change the fact that there are some good ones there. I know lawmakers in that place, you can get them for what? For gas. Salary, you didn't get them for that nonsense. Eh? Budget kind of read the budget and announce publicly what they're going for. Did I go and say, I sit in my office, I'm not going to vote until you give me money. I know lawmakers, I didn't get them for that thing. I don't say they get the money, but they don't demand it. You need to add dignity to yourself. But man, when people go to the legislature of the mindset that place is a market ground, we can't here to transact, to trade. over 95% of the people who are currently seated in Capitol Building are people who went to that place with the mindset that this is a trade fair. This is a market ground. We are here to trade, to transact. You bring your goods, you get our money, we give you our service. You want our service, you pay for our service. A guy took a bill to the house. A lawmaker took the man $70 US. $70. You know what he told the man? My man, that tradition here. Let me say, my man, we don't get money. The thing will help the industry. I don't call the industry before they target the man. The thing will help the industry. The industry will grow. It will expand. Most of the young girls and young guys see going to the school there. They're sitting on the sidewalk doing this, sitting on the sidewalk doing this. They can't be on the sidewalk. Let's conglomerate them and regulate the sector. This is a sector that is booming in Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, and Sierra Leone. It's a whole sector that is part of a tourism. Let's add this law to regulate this sector. It's 70 life for me. Every day that God tells me that thing. Every day he tells me. He said, look, the man said, I was so shocked. Man told $70. Lawmaker took $70. He said, they call the bill for hearing. Okay, you account for hearing. They're looking at the bill. Told the man $70. Race Basigia, I will call Race Basigia's name. Race Basigia used to be assistant minister at the Ministry of Information. We are going to, help him facilitate his confirmation hearing and everything, thinking that the men are young men and men on strap at that time, I think it was the first appointment in government, everything. All of us who were in the youth at the time said, let's support our men. So we took them to Capitol Building. One lawmaker who's a former lawmaker now, he made them getting buck. Yes. Yeah. They said we should give him buck. Even the man asked for $500. At that time, what raise basically taking $500 US. So all you put all together, we can't even raise $500 at that time.
The man coming from Australia.
Yeah.
And went for a big government job.
Imagine all of us together at that time, we can raise good $100 US. At that point, we could not raise $100. We have to start calling people around. Some men who are in government. I mean, there's a queue. Some of the people who even get money for raise basic gas confirmation. Some of them are representatives today and senators. They were in government. Some are at the Ministry of Finance. The people say they can't hear. That man race will not appear for confirmation hearing. Until you pay that money. And he's not the only person. There are some today who are deputy and vice in government. They are victim of the irresponsible behavior, of the reckless behavior of lawmakers who demand money before they take action. So when I see them supporting recklessness, I say, yeah, at times you want to get vexed with Joe Biden because Mr. President is supposed to know better. Again, you come and say, well, hey, man, during the campaign, we already told the people that the president is old now. It doesn't mean he's not smart. It doesn't mean he's not educated. But we'll continue to emphasize Mr. Bwaka is old. Mr. Bwaka does not have the technical capacity to know what is happening around him. This is a man who cannot sit down to read 2-3 pages. I'm serious. The president cannot. So his time is over. He's weary and he's old. The people around him, instead of considering the fact that he's old and that's happening, they are using his inability to abuse power. That's what they're doing. I mean, with all due respect to the president is being abused. He's being abused. His age, his weariness
is being exploited.
That's the one. They are exploiting that weakness of the president. The president cannot be effective anymore. And we said these things during the election, but some said we're insulting the president. Today we're seeing what happening.
Sure.
Look, you take Joe Biden alone and put in one room and then make some of the decisions, review some of the decisions alone, write them down, your opinion, bring it out of the room and read it.
Stop.
They will be contrary to some of the things that are happening. I tell you, in a fanatic over case, and I'll close on this note. There were a group of lawmakers after the Supreme Court rule declaring every action that was taken by the so-called majority bloc as ultra viral, and they went to the Bureau of Information, and the court again insisted that Funati is the legitimate speaker. That statement that Mr. Bwaka issued announcing that his government will work with the majority. That statement was not written. If I could have found out as presidential press secretary, they don't even have any idea that Bwaka was even talking that day. She didn't have any idea that Bwaka was even talking that day. That lawmakers sat down, got in a car and drove to Joe Bwaka along with the vice president, I will call his name, Jeremiah Kun. It was Jeremiah Kun who drove along with three other lawmakers. And I can call the other lawmaker. No, he's former lawmaker, Clarence Masakwe. Jeremiah Kun. And two other lawmakers, I will not call their names. They were the ones who drove at Bwaka's house on that day and wrote a lawmaker whose name I will not mention. He wrote that statement that Bwaka read. And they said they would not leave until Mr. Bwaka reads the statement. And the president read the statement. Before that statement, they are recording, they left the president's house. Kuda Fofana was not even aware that Bwaka spoke on that issue that day. That's why you saw conflicting statement coming from Mikat, coming from the executive marshal, and coming from Mr. Bwaka. That's why you saw those conflicting statements. This is the kind of president we have. With all due respect to him, but these are the facts. I mean, we don't intend to bully him or disrespect him, but the president is not in charge of the country. Hey, this is a reality. He's not in charge. When some of his officials who supported him in the legislature come to the public and say the president is not in charge, they get angry. But Mr. Bwaka, our dynamic president, I'll add dynamic to it.
Let it right honorable.
Is being exploited. They are exploiting the weakness of the president and abusing power. That's why you see the courts are so weak, lazy, and so filthy up, because illiterate people are exploiting the president's weakness and abusing power, and they are extending their abuse to the courts. Imagine somebody taking phone and calling and associate justice and threatening. In real life, if people were taking tests to be vice president, Jeremiah would not even be a candidate.
That's a community chairman.
If people were taking tests
to be youth chairman,
to be vice president, Jeremiah will not be an applicant. He will not even meet the benchmark to apply to be vice president. That Jeremiah today can take the telephone and call and associate justice. And you tell me like people are serious country? I mean, that's their cause, yeah. That's their cause.
Call us on those numbers on 0776 104 104 086 500 104. And our diaspora callers can call us on +231 86 500 104 +231 86 500 104. This first caller on line 1. Hello, your name and you joining us from where?
How you doing, brother? I ready.
By God's grace, we are okay here.
Officer, continue for the day. Anyway, my name is Nathaniel, but commander coming switch off. The church out of Israel. No, they here will be talking with God. When the prophecy fulfillment enter, when the power ready to fulfill, they will not accept it. But when the reality is fear, they will say that no way. But let me tell you something. Everything that is doing, God looking at us. God cannot lie. I always say this, God cannot lie for what will come to pass. Now, everything that is doing to people, they think they're doing it good, but the time will come. when the reality appears, you'll be thinking, but why did it happen to the first year? But you are saying, but think about what happened when you did. That the end result when we see it afterwards, that crying, oh, I didn't know that is, but at the reason. So everything that happened on that, bro, only thing we do is ask God for forgiveness, that's all. Because we wrong God. We wrong God, yes, but
Thank you. Thank you. Leave it there and take this caller online too.
Hello, for the man coffee hydro where the hydro is built.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that water issue you're discussing, as I speak to you, here where the water comes from before it go in that Morovia. Brother, where we are residing in this township of Harrisburg, Remokem, only one single hair pump is what we're depending on here. The water comes from right here going Morovia. We don't even have one bag of water here to drink. See how the boat drinking us? Even the hydro that is due here, I said right to my house and we have a hydro for so down 1 month we go out of current, we don't receive it here. You look at the living condition of us here. Even when you enter in the hydro, they say that to the hydro will go in. We never believe it. That's the kind of life that is living with us here. So I don't know.
Okay. Leave it there and go to our diaspora land to take this call on the line. Honorable Saturday Wonduwole. Welcome.
This is Spencer Gray, and good evening to all.
Good evening to you, my brother.
I just want to maybe give you a reminder about what happened during the campaign 2003 in October when Joseph Baga went Lofa County along with Ralph Father and all when they carried him in his studio. What did Joseph Baga say? What the first word he used? Joseph Baga asked the people what they carry him in the stadium for. When they carry him in the stadium to have press conference, what did he say? He asked him, "Why you brought me here for? Why you want me to say that me, Joseph Baga, is asking man he not even to himself all alone, just how they call the boy and Costa say about him. Nothing San Joseph Baga can say. So all I think I can be discussing Joseph Baga that just made us in here, but nothing San he can say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, we'll leave it there and take this call online. Welcome, Austin Kawa is here.
Okay, and good evening, Austin Kawa. Dickens, I'm Spencer Mohammed, and I come from Down Coast Bone Hill, Wingtown community, a member of Concern Liberia for Justice. Dickens, thank you very much for your discussion. As per the issue of the water, Dickens, look, let me tell you something. Lying is now becoming the trademark of this rescue government, starting from the very echelon of the rescue down to the mainland. How come will the water and sewer men tell us 76% of the Liberian people have access to clean drinking water? And even going as far as saying that 17,000 people are connected to the water system in Monrovia. Amen. Even in the midst when water is being sold in Monrovia for $10 per bag, and this man is lying to us like this. Look, sometimes we are seeing those things coming from people like Mo and me. In retrospect on what they did over the last 6 years, it tells me that they were only doing it because they wanted to come and loot and milk the country to the bone than what they are doing today. They were not real to the followers today. And that's why in my mind, they failed to provide the people education over the last years. They only make them to be social boys and car so that they can continue to use them in the kind of vicious jargon of lying perpetually to them. Instead of this happening, this unity party government rescue has now become a complete embarrassment to our country. Every one of them are just lying. Look at the finance minister today. When you were telling the people today, when the students and you are struggling, man, he's saying
Leave you there and go to line 3. Hello, this caller, and where you following us from?
Oh, my name is Abba Sharif, and I join people from St. Paul's Bridge. Austin, let me tell you, well, thank you for the effort. Austin, I'm really, really disappointed in this Liberal president when he's not my president. Today, the president will come to tell us that the law is the law. But when it gets to other people, they want to revise it. For what reason? If the law is the law, then the Supreme Court or the court, every decision they come away, over it. Why now all people not get the problem with judges? If the law is the law, so you tell me that Joseph Walker is suffering from integrity problem? Because every man on earth, what is the law? You want to make you a man. So you want to tell me now that our president is not a man of the world? You want to tell me that our president is a liar? You want to tell me that our president is a betrayer? I'm very disappointed in our president. Thank you for following me time.
Thank you. Thank you. Leave it there. Go back to line 1 and take this caller. Hello, your name and you joining us from where?
Evening, Austin.
Go ahead.
I got him. Yeah, Peter David Castle, I call from another street like in Lower Johnson, a concern like going forth and a justice. Look, my brother, Austin, the first thing, analytically, I don't even believe them who are very and understand what they call accent. How you can tell others you are supplying 76% of the population for water. So that clearly indicates that he doesn't even understand what you are saying. You see the kind of and the attitude and the gross incompetence Mo Ali and the other guys brought to governance. These were the people that portray themselves yesteryear to be a messiah. Today, they are the epicenter of power. They cannot even, and their own job, the scope of operation, they don't even know. That's complete naivety on the part of Mo Ali. So they can either elevate their thing in horizon.
Okay.
And lastly, to the issue of Honorable Samuel Tour.
Yeah, quickly.
Just clarifying. Yes, they are just wasting our time. Samuel Tour will be acquitted and before a competent court of jurisdiction. So there's nothing, no government, no president, no individual is going to sacrifice our law and we just sit and fold our hands. So that message should get at the back of just like my Walker head. And we need the religious community to speak out. Because when these things are happening, those factors that brought us to the 14 years of civil crisis, it are being reintroduced by just like my Walker and Kony and the religious community just sitting.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah, this caller, let's squeeze.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Austin. I said, the mistake we made in La Africa, the mistake we made in La Africa, anything the president asked for him to go to the president. So, that one was 10 years old. How was somebody come and say this of Virginia? Because anything like Virginia is good. And Mr. Austin.
Thank you. That A, we get Eugene speaker. That A. Yeah. We got Eugene speaker.
How are you?
We're fine. Let's hear you.
This is Simple
Okay.
Yeah, going to somewhere on the piece. The United people will see now what they are doing to play with it. We are seeing it to be something like United basically they see for the time we are our president. They say we are someone like he's scared. So when they put fear in anything, so he will give it. I just keep telling them on. If opposition
I mean, what do you want the opposition to do? Suggest to the opposition they are listening.
Okay. So opposition will have to come together and stand to advocate for our country. The Republican will believe that enough for in this country here. So I want to tell you the country today.
No, the man is the president. I mean, you're president, how you be president for the country when you're not a president?
Yeah, we squeezing this last call, then we call it a night. Yeah, this caller, your name.
Thank you. Let me say good evening to Junkie and Austin Kawa. Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, EKC.
Yeah, this is Ed Moka, and I remain the visually impaired and pushing for the return of my president and proud member of Concerned Liberian for Justice. You know, Liberia is in trouble. Like I said last night, this is the serious wake-up call for the opposition, and most especially our party. And I think we can say, if we are going to the 2029 election, if there will be election, because for what we are seeing, anything is possible. The whole process can be trampled because of what we are seeing. But if we go into the process, we should be on top of our game and prepare.
Hannah, hey, I see you're going to celebrate Meditation Day in Grange there.
What?
Yeah, going to celebrate Grange there. Yeah, you're saying everything happening in the country. You're saying you're going to Grange to go celebrate Meditation Day.
We want to take the country and
okay.
I was saying we should not wait for vote. This is a clear indication that 2029 you don't wait for vote. You don't depend on vote. And you think that you will sit there, you'll not get your balance sheet as you collecting it and announcing your own preliminary result and holding back to it. And thinking say we'll sit there and after everything you go to the vote, you're going to get redress. That's a 0.0. And you know the truth. There may not be election, and there could be election, and our election will reverse Liberia. Thank you.
Man, Sisi, go ahead.
Thank you, Austin. But you will not say to me that, oh.
Huh?
You go and do it now before my brother came.
I love for you to be the last caller.
Thank you to enjoy myself with Bwaka and your friend Mo Ali, the Mauritanian boy. So Mo Ali putting on live for his better, right? And talking about you, I know you connect how many millions of who we connect in multiple values.
Did you read the man's justification?
Now, you read it to me, justify it.
But
you read it to me. You want to justify, you read it to me.
But you read, Masisi, listen now. You should have read more than your friend tonight. You should have read what the man. You should have read the clarity for him.
I can't read. I'm saying those school. Read it to me. Yeah. But why is someone so answer you? They say you should have go over what? Why I will say it.
Go ahead with your point.
You read. And I will say what the man said to you. Say on his face. Go read it to me.
Go ahead. I wrong you down. Go ahead with your point. Go ahead.
More Ali last to the people of Liberia. They said we have people were there. He said they were not able to portray. People were asking water in their home. People were on Broad Street. Or on Nebula or Galley Street. Yesterday you were talking that you were here. Oh, what a place, what a place that they could play for the portrait. They get men job to portray. Then they get in the job. All the workers we have running point. People are on the point. On ground from here and there. What happened to the water? You can go sit on latrine, put that water, go in to go see for you. What's going on the government? What if they're not doing it? What a problem. He's not able to focus and listen. One man, 50 government, and the whole government will be one party. Can you imagine that? What do I make part of statement again? We are here. That is what coming to the country. We are even in the country. Then you go with the president now, and we'll go with you and narrative. You want to go in the country? What about Ali? What I know what's coming when reform will get what they don't tell you the point. We'll go on reform, don't tell you the put in the point. They say you think about what Ali referring. I'm gonna go read it. You want to justify it? That's all shame to Ali. That's your shame and the government. That's your shame.
You man, I beg you to know. I beg you to know. Don't get me power of me.
So I'm going to power you. Well, so my body can walk at that. You can walk out. Thank you.
You finish?
Yeah, I finished.
I should call the call.
Tomorrow will be there.
I should call the call.
Yeah, call it off.
Okay, I'm going to use it. I'll call you over.
The people who are so The people lie to us. The government betray us.
Yeah, I mean, just wrap up. We can go today. You're the host today, so wrap up.
We tire with the promises.
And so, thanks to every one of you that followed tonight.
Now you need to deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So
it was nice having you. This is Freedom Hard Talk here on Freedom FM 87.9.
Just tell you.
Austin Kawa, the host, was here.
You screw us.
And my name is Junkies Morris.
Abuse us so. Why?
And we are hopeful of being here together on tomorrow when we will bring you the weekend's edition of the program Freedom Hard Talk here on Freedom FM 87.9.
The people lie to us. The government betray us.
Every one of you that try calling, those that call, those that always sit and listen. Thanks for following. See you tomorrow. Or we are back here. I'm Junkies Morris and bye bye.
No one to trust. My people don't want to hope on nobody.
Yeah, we need peace. We need unity. Equal rights and justice in Africa. Yeah, not don't get right out of here.